So the new League Ultra League Premier Cup has been released, and it's taken me a while to get some matches that I didn't lose lead every single time, and also to find a team that could handle most of the meta. And this team, Swampert, Charizard, and Snorlax, handles most of the meta except for one Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Gallade. So Gallade can beat Snorlax with close combat, and it can also beat Swampert with Leaf Blade. So if you're gonna use this team, you're probably gonna have to look out for Gallade, and you might want to switch it up a little bit to handle the Gallade. I think if you have a Wing Attack Charizard, it might be better because then you could gain energy faster and deal super effective to the Gallade. Anyways, into the commentary, and the Gallade goes for close combat. I'm not going to shield it. I'm saving my shields for Swampert. And they go in with Magnezone, and I press on the Body Slam, but Magnezone has a higher attack stat. They go for Wild Charge, lower defense, so I can farm them down. And thankfully, our last Pokemon isn't a Venusaur, because a content creator, Zionic, posted a video showcasing Gallade, Magnezone, and Venusaur. So I was really thinking it was going to be a Venusaur and that would close the match. But thankfully, it was just a Swampert. Second match. And the lead I'm going against is another good one, Ampharos. So I've been seeing also a lot of electric type leads. Also, this Ampharos is running Charge Beam. You definitely want to run Volt Switch if you're gonna use Ampharos in the Ultra League. So I don't shield, and Dragon Pulse deals a lot of damage, and they don't shield anything, and they bring in their Venusaur. I try to go for Earthquake, but they actually throw their energy. Maybe they thought I would Sludge Wave or something, and they definitely didn't want to burn a shield. So I bring in Charizard, they swap into Gyarados, and I swap into Snorlax. Now, if they shield once, you cannot win by not shielding at all. And I've found that if you shield too late, the Dragon Breath damage really adds up, and you actually lose switch advantage. But it doesn't really matter in this scenario because I already know what their last Pokemon is. And so I'm not going to shield this. I know I can survive it, and I just barely get to the Body Slam, and then they make a swap into Venusaur. So I'm just going to swap into Charizard now, and I'm just going to completely farm it down. I'm not shielding, and it was a Frenzy Plant for some reason. I don't know why both of us did those moves. And so they have one shield. I go for the Dragon Claw, and they shield it up, and then not sure if Dragon Claw would knock out from that range. I go for Blast Burn since they had extra energy since they swapped out into Venusaur. So I didn't want to get hit by an Aqua Tail. Then again, I did have a shield. Anyways, third battle, and I'm going against a Charizard. Wow, a lot of good leads here. So I go for Surf, and something to note is that I don't actually have Hydro Cannon, and in some instances, it's better to use Hydro Cannon, but you don't really need it per se. You can still use Swampert if you don't have Hydro Cannon. And I only had one Elite Charge TM from Season 1, so I don't exactly have a Swampert with Hydro Cannon, and I didn't play in the Community Day. Anyways, I farmed down the Venusaur with my Charizard, and I have a Blast Burn ready to go. Unfortunately, they also had a move ready to go, and so I'm going to let all that energy go. I probably shouldn't have. Maybe the better idea was to shield and then swap into Snorlax. So they time their switch perfectly so that their Surf lands on their Lapras, and so I pulled the Earthquake off, and surprisingly they don't shield, and so I switch into Snorlax, go for a Body Slam, not wanting to risk for the debuff for Superpower, and then they bring in their Charizard. I go for Body Slam, and I'm not going to shield any of this. I get their last shield. I'm not going to shield whatever this is because I know that I have energy on Swampert. And they go for the shield bait of Dragon Claw, which might not have been the best idea, but they go for 2 of them, take my Snorlax out. I shield whatever this is, I can go for Surf, and win the game. So, that's another GG. Fourth game, and will we see another electric type lead? I don't know. We don't. This is another one instance that Hydro Cannon would actually allow you to win this match, but since I have Surf, I need to try to land an Earthquake if I want to win. I do successfully land an Earthquake, so that is huge, but the counter damage is really adding up. But I have enough health so that I don't have to shield this Night Slash. I go for the Surf, and I'm not sure if they shield or not. They do shield, so maybe something in the back is weak to Swampert. So I definitely don't want to bring in my Snorlax since it's weak to Counter, which is a fighting type move. And I bring in my Charizard and completely farm down, taking 1 Night Slash. They bring in a Lapras, and I go immediately for Blast Burn, hoping that they don't shield, and they do not shield, so that is huge. So I'm going to shield this Surf, and I'm going to go for a shield bait of Dragon Claw, because by this range, Blast Burn would knock out. And I do successfully get the bait. I swap into Snorlax, and they have a Tangrowth. So I'm very lucky that the Tangrowth wasn't in the lead, because Swampert's one weakness is Grass. Anyways, Tangrowth is pretty interesting because it has Rock Slide, so thankfully I didn't stay in that Lapras matchup and use both shields, because then Tangrowth could knock me out. Knowing that it has Rock Slide, I shield my Snorlax and I go for Body Slam, taking out the Tangrowth. So then I switch into Charizard, sack the Charizard, and delete all the energy that the Lapras has. I go for the Body Slam, and I take the Lapras out. Very well played by my opponent, and by now they kind of just quit because they know it's a loss. So, GG. Another match, and I might get another good lead. Let's see. Snorlax. Now, like the Obstagoon matchup, the best and most energy efficient way to take out a Snorlax is 1 Hydro Cannon and 1 Earthquake. Unfortunately, if you have Surf, if you go for that 1 Surf and 1 Earthquake, it will just barely not knock out, and they survive at 1 HP. I'm not going to shield, and I survive, but somehow I'm just instantly knocked out, even though the animation of the fast move didn't even play. So I bring in my Snorlax, and they bring in a Dragonite. Now, Dragonite is one Pokemon that also does well against Charizard and Swampert, and if there's a Dragonite lead, I usually safe switch Snorlax, although in one instance I have safe switch Charizard to try to bring the shields with Dragon Claw, because that can really put pressure. They actually go for a Hurricane, which is quite interesting, so really good that I shielded that. And they shield again. I tried to time a swap into Charizard. I'm just gonna let it go, and then I swap in, and I go into Charizard, and I'm just gonna farm it down. I do shield this Dragon Claw because Dragon Claw does a ton of damage, as Charizard is pretty squishy, but then they have an Ampharos, and this is not good. I'm weak to Electric, but the Blast Burn just barely doesn't knock it out. One more fast move would have taken it out, and they, at 1 HP, get a Thunder Punch off. Very well played by my opponent, and another Electric type, but in the back. So, this match, and I'm going against a Lapras. So, my strategy when I'm going against Lapras leads is to try to land an Earthquake. Most people don't actually shield the first move if it's a Snorlax or a Lapras, and I usually land the Earthquake and then go immediately into Snorlax, because Lapras can flip some matchups with my Swampert. and then they swap into Gallade. This is bad. At least it wasn't in the lead though. So, Lick is doing super effective damage, and I do get both shields. I know there's no point in shielding here, and they actually go for Leaf Blade, double Leaf Blades. They don't want to go for close combat, which would have lowered their defense. And I'm gonna farm this down, and I really should have shielded here because close combat does 100 damage with stab from Gallade, and even though it's resisted, it took me to the red and did a ton of damage. So they bring in their Lapras, and their last Pokemon is a Venusaur. So that's really good for me, and they go for the Present Plant, I shield it, and I can go for the Blast Burn and win the game. And they surrender. So, GG. Last match of this showcase, and the lead this time is Lapras, another one. Now, I get a little bit of weak connection. And now I'm gonna go for the same strategy. I go for Earthquake, right? And they shield. So I'm gonna match their shields because Surf does do a lot of damage along with the ice shards that add up. And I'm gonna go for another Earthquake because who would double shielded Lapras? It's so tanky, right? Well, they double shield their Lapras. So now I'm double shielding my Swampert, and thankfully I shielded that one because it was an Ice Beam. And they get another Surf off, and I could have, if I didn't get that Earthquake off, I would have been in a very bad situation. Thankfully, I do, so now I can bring in my Snorlax. All shields are out of play on both sides, so if they have something like a Swampert or Empoleon in the back, it would be very bad for me. They have a Gyarados. I am lucky that they didn't bring in the Gyarados in the back because Gyarados actually loses to Snorlax. And with the amount of energy that I had, they didn't even get a charge move off before I took them out with just body slams. So don't bring in Gyarados into a Snorlax matchup. And then the last Pokemon is Venusaur, and then I bring my Charizard and they quit. So I hope you enjoyed the showcase, and it's a reasonably budget team for Ultra League Premier Cup, and you don't really need Hydro Cannon, although it would be better to have Hydro Cannon so you can win the Obstagoon and Snorlax matches without having to burn a shield. So, hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace.